This is Abnormal Entertainment.
2, 3, 4.
Walked into the tunnel just to find the light. Hunted for old demons, looking for a fight. Looked up at the stars, seemed to go forever. There must be a way, it all fits together. Fell into the quicksand, held on to the vines. Never could quite color, stay within the lines. Feels like I have wings, I can fly wherever. This is just a way, it all fits together. Finally saw the world through rose-colored glasses. Gonna share my journey to small and large masses. Give up on my life, no sir, me never. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together.
Okay, so you're on this cruise. 22 agencies are after you from around the world, not just the States. You're, what, 19, 20 years old?
About 19, yep.
Okay, come on. That has to, like, boost your ego huge. How do you not have a huge head right now?
It was kind of like going back to, like, always remember where I came from, and also knowing that, you know, my goal to, you know, be an actor is not to have a high ego or be self-loathing myself, but just to know, like my whole purpose of being an actor is so I could, you know, do things that help out the communities, like in the U.S. I mean, that's always been something I always wanted to do. I've always wanted to help people. So, granted, there was a moment where I might have done a little dance in my cabin at the time because I got 22 callbacks. I was just like, yeah, and like my roommate in the cabin who only got like, you know, 9. I was like, oh, you got 9, that sucks. And then, no, I didn't do that. No,
I wonder where he is now.
Oh, right. Oh, God. Well, I wish him the best of luck if he did make it or did something, you know, awesome with that. But yeah, I got 22 callbacks, and I went to all 22, and I met Maverick Artist Agency. I met Cat's Agency. I met so many, and they were all over the world. So I actually had the Dramatic Arts Conservatory in New York.
Wow.
The guy, the head of admissions, was there, and he called me when I, of course, got back to, you know, Iowa, and he wanted me to go there, and free ride, free like, you know, tuition. And I'm like, wow, but do I really want to go back to the cold?
Yeah, that's always that. I hear that from a lot of people.
So I was like, I don't know. I've always had this LA thing in my mind, and there was an award ceremony at the Passport Discovery. So this was in their biggest ballroom, and everyone was dressed up. I brought my tux, and by the way, I was a pretty big guy, so this tux felt really tight. I felt like I was sweating so much in it that I felt so uncomfortable, and I was shocked that I actually got first place in 4 of my competitions.
Wow!
Against 1,500 people.
I'm glad you brought that up because I pretty much I was trying to remember everything you said at the workshop. Mm-hmm. But you were a bigger guy at one point, right?
Yes, I was actually a bodybuilder from pretty much my senior year in high school to my last 2 years in college and before I made the move. What you're seeing right now is 170 pounds. I was originally 200.
Wow. Okay.
So that's like a loss of 30 pounds of muscle. So there's nothing to do in Iowa. Like you go to parties or you work
or the cows.
or you work out. Like there's not much to do.
No insult to anybody in Iowa.
Right? No, even they know. Like, there's like, amen, brother. Like, we know how it is. So, yeah, working out, not only was it something to do, it's very therapeutic for me.
Okay.
So that's always something that I've always enjoyed. And yeah, no, I was a really big guy, but yeah, I mean, it was great to win those competitions. I think I won improv, I won commercial, I won swimwear, and I think it was runway. So those were the 4 I won, and so I was shocked of how well it went. And so,
excuse me.
No, you're fine. And then I went home and I told my parents, and I'm like, oh my god, because I didn't have service on this cruise because we were going around I think we were going around the Caribbean, I think. And so that was great. And I told my parents, like, okay guys, I think I'm going to move to LA after this summer. And so I moved to Studio City in the San Fernando Valley, January 2015. And so, my parents were terrified. I mean, they were very supportive, but they were terrified because it's like, I was 20. I don't have friends out here. I don't have family out here. I don't know nobody. So it's literally starting from scratch all over again.
And for anybody listening, that is not an uncommon story for a lot of us. You just like, I'm going to LA. Yeah. Do you know anybody? Nope. Do you know what you're going to do? Nope. But here I come anyway.
Exactly. And so, I mean, that was another risk I took in my life, and it was huge because, it really hit me is when my brother and my mother helped me move in when they left. And I'm like, okay, here I am. Yeah. So it was literally starting from scratch, and, that was crazy. That was crazy.
So let me paint the picture for everybody who's listening to us. We're talking to Thomas Soliz, actor. Because you're on this cruise, you're winning all these contests that they have, and pageants and awards, and you get to LA and you're like, hey, I have all these awards behind me, like I'm gonna do it. But then, like, for instance, for me, when I moved to California, when I was starting to audition, back in Houston, there was only a handful of me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There was only a handful of people, and we all knew each other. And then based on the role, you'd be like, oh, you're going to get it. Like, because there was 5 of us. Like, this is for you. And then we'd all go celebrate because we know who got it. But then when I moved to LA or Laguna Beach, and I would go audition in LA, I'd walk into a waiting room, and here are 100 people that looked just like me. And I was like, oh my God, this is not what I was expecting. How was the awakening of LA for you?
Oh my gosh, it turned me over and bent me sideways. It was crazy. Not only was I shocked about like just traffic in general, because there's 6 lanes and there's only 2 lanes, and like that blew my mind. Besides that, getting there to the audition was the fact that there were so many people. Like crazy. I never had that experience, and also people that look like me. Like, not looking exactly like me, but having similarities to me, like having the same jawline, having the same, like, eyebrows, squinted eyes, and, having the same shoulders. It was crazy, and I'm like, damn, now it's really harder for these auditions. Like, this was an awakening for me, and I'm like, okay, so now that's when it really comes down to the importance of acting, is the craft itself. What makes you stand out as a person?
Right.
What makes you different from everybody else that looks like you? So, that's what, was really important to me. So I actually went to Actors Comedy Studio in Beverly Hills. Okay. That was my very first acting class in Los Angeles. And so I showed them my resume. I showed them, my headshot, because I was just kind of showing, like, where you're at. They're like, so how long have you lived in LA? I'm like, oh, I lived here for about a week now. And, the sad truth is that this is when I was still weighing 200 pounds. They're like, I got some bad news. It's like, you will most likely be typecasted. And for people that are listening that don't know what typecast is, that means you're only casted for one specific role.
Right.
And mine would be the jock or the bodybuilder guy. That's it. And I'm like, that would sound devastating to me. And I was like, so what would I need to do? Because to be honest, I would try to lose some weight. And that is, I think I've heard that more from people in LA than anything else in my life. Like, it's crazy. And they're so blunt about it. Like, you need to lose weight. And they act like it's nothing. Of course, I wasn't offended because you need to have thick skin for this industry.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So for my experience of, bodybuilding and knowing like how my body works, I went more from concentrated strength workout to circuit training. So that's going from more of like a heavy mass body lifting to a fast cardio style workout. And so I dropped 30 pounds. And, it's nice to scratch my back again. I'll tell you that. Because I was able to scratch my back. So that's...
Oh, the simple things that make us happy.
Exactly. I was like, oh, again. And I don't have to eat like almost 6 meals a day anymore. I can eat 3 like a normal person. So I dropped the weight. I've done Actors Comedy Studio since I've been out here, Killian's Workshop, UCB. I've done 2 levels. I'm about to go back to do 301 and 401 and do Harold's Night. That's my goal, is to finish UCB. I went back to Actors Comedy Studio. I did all their classes. So I've literally been hopping between each acting studio just to get as much knowledge as possible and kind of see like what sticks and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And I want to say like, not trying to sponsor, but I'm trying to say that Actors Comedy Studio was probably like, where I felt the most comfortable as a studio. Not only did I learn like about sitcom acting, not only did I learn about how a sitcom works, just like who I am as a person on camera, because you need to know, who you are as a person on camera. What kind of person can you play? What person do you best play as? Because that's really what's going to help you in this industry and get that first role onto something. So that was, great memories.
Yeah.
Great memories.
So you're here, you're auditioning, picking up here, acting roles here and there. Is that enough for you to survive?
In a way, yes. Yeah. Because, you only get sent out so much because each agency has hundreds and hundreds of clients. So it's like, whoever does the best gets the cake. And so, yeah, I've done commercials out here. I've done extra work. I've done, I actually did, do you know Judge Mabeline, the court show on TV? So I was actually on there.
Nice.
Yeah, and so the craziest thing is that I really thought these were the real people with like real court trials. No, I'm improvising for some guy. And it's just kind of like a who wins, and I totally lost, by the way. Because I was like the guy who got taken advantage of in a therapy office, and the girl was with her daughter, and Judge Mabeline has a daughter. So they had that daughter connection. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to pass through that. There's a barrier right there I can't break through.
But for a lot of people, I don't want to burst any bubbles, but for a lot of people watching or listening, Hollywood is made up of a lot of reenactment shows. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things that you watch, and I'm not going to say any names, but a lot of shows that you watch, it's actors portraying the real people. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the court shows, especially a lot of the Spanish court shows that they do in Florida.
Reality shows.
Yeah. And because I did, one of the first things that I did out here was Operation Repo.
Oh, no way.
Yes. I did Operation Repo, and I played the manager of a restaurant. Uh-huh. And when it aired, I got messages from people back in Texas going, I thought you were acting. You're a manager at a restaurant? I'm like, yeah. No, I'm not. Like, that's not real. It's like, I was just acting. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, it's fake. I'm like, yeah, it's reenactment shows. And then when it got translated into Spanish in Mexico, because they aired it in Mexico, my family in Mexico was like, that doesn't sound like your voice. I'm like, no, it was dubbed in Spanish by another actor. But that's me. And they're like, so you're working at a restaurant? I'm like, no, I'm still acting. That was an acting job. So just to put that out there for people, I've been a fireman. I've been a manager. I forget what else.
I was a
food vendor.
Right? I mean, you literally could be anybody on the show. Like,
Yeah.
I was a cameraman on a reality show.
There
I
you
think
go.
it was like Barely Famous, or I don't even know what it was. Like, you're a camera guy and you're trying to separate this fight. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was there for like 8 hours.
Separating a fight.
Yeah, I was like 8 hours because the girls kept messing up their lines. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, can I go? But yeah, no. So that's been great. And then I was working at regular jobs as well because you need some kind of income, especially living in a very like high money city like Los Angeles. You need to have some kind of like money coming into you. So I worked regular jobs or restaurant jobs, and I never thought I would go back to restaurant jobs, but I had to. And so I think my last job before my current job today, my last job I was working at a poke place.
Nice.
And yeah, no, the food was great, and I couldn't complain. But it's so hard to talk to, especially women, or if there's like really like pretty beautiful women coming up and you want to talk to them, but it's hard because you have an apron on with like a drawn-in chopsticks on your apron.
Okay.
And a hat.
I have to call BS on this one because come on, you're this tall, good-looking guy with a nice physique. I doubt there's any job that any girl is not throwing her chopsticks at you.
Oh, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've gotten hit on, but I mean, for me to say something back, because I mean, I don't want to. I don't know. It's just weird, and it's like it goes back to like the insecurities a little bit. It's like I'm wearing an apron. I have like raw fish on my apron. I do not look appealing at all. I smell like fish.
You're like the most thing I'm gonna get is a cat that comes in.
Right? I was like, I'm gonna get some cats. They're just gonna be like, and like just rub against me. And I'll be like, well, this is the most cat I'm gonna get.
But it's interesting that you're mentioning that insecurities, because me standing next to you, I would be very insecure.
No, don't say that.
But-
You're a good looking guy.
But I'm an average little Mexican dude. What are your insecurities, and how do you, or have you overcome them?
Okay, so I think one of the very first insecurities that I noticed and was able to overcome was, I guess, shyness. When I was a kid and when I was, going through the whole acting phase and wasn't comfortable in front of a camera, and I was like really shy. It was so hard for me to talk to girls. Actually, I remember when they used to come up to me to talk to me, and I'd just be like, I look down, have like my eyes up, and just be like, hey. Like, I just kind of just look around and panic because I don't know what to do. And I know that was a big issue. And I knew the only way to overcome that insecurity was to do a runway show. So I did a runway show when I was a kid. And that not only did it overcome my fear, but because I was sweating balls before I was about to go on the walk.
Wow.
Because I almost actually walked away from it. And then I was like, told myself, it's like, how are you ever going to overcome your insecurities if you're not going to challenge it? So I said, F it, and did it. And the amount of weight that was lifted off my shoulders was like great. And, I also had insecurities of like, my weight, just because I was getting into entertainment, I was getting more involved in entertainment where a big concern is the weight. And so I've always wanted to be that, physique guy with the six pack. Now, how do I get there? And, I always felt insecure, taking off my shirt, which is now a second skin for me to do because of so many modeling auditions. Like, take off your shirt. Okay. And like, so, if for anybody listening, with insecurities, like, you just need to honestly just challenge them because, the only way you're going to get over them is yourself. And, I'm not trying to be blunt or rude, but, I'm saying that, anybody with insecurities, you can challenge them. You can overcome them. I've seen people do it, and it's such a beautiful thing to see. people saying like, I did it. I overcome my fear. I overcome, me not able to talk to a girl. Now feeling okay with my weight. And even till today, insecurity that I still struggle is, I think it has to be just, once again, my weight. That's still something I haven't completely overcome, because it's like, I used to be such a bodybuilder, just a big guy, big muscles, and I really had to, work on my body because I want to be casted. I want to be looking good. I want girls to look at me. That was just kind of like my mentality.
Right.
And so, yeah, and so even till this day, I'm still working on it, but I always tell myself that it's okay. It's okay. And that it's simple as it is by those two words, it's okay. Because a lot of people think that, there's no way to cope with it. It's like, no, just talk to yourself in the mirror. Just talk to yourself. Talk out loud. Be like, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. From talking to you, because for everybody listening, when I first met him and gave him my card, I didn't really know much about you other than what was said on the panel. And usually there's not a whole lot. It's usually a one topic panel and you kind of go in that direction. But looking through your profile and kind of stalking you a little bit, you seem very much of a planner. Like everything has a start and a finish. Does that make sense? Is that fair to say? So like organized on
Yeah, I feel like your life is, you have this like, I'm going to start doing this and this is my outcome. Like you have a very specific A to B plan that you're going to. Does it always work out for you?
For the most part. Of course, life comes around and throws you, a left hook. But yeah, no, that's just kind of how I always picture it, because now, some people actually don't know this, but I actually have anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah, so I really noticed it started to peak when I moved out to LA, because it's just so overwhelming. The big cities, New York, LA, Houston, or Dallas. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Texas, so I'm just throwing out the city names.
Longhorns? Yeah,
right?
there is no Longhorn, Texas. So, yeah.
Barbecue restaurants. And so, because I had my very first panic attack out here, and it was just because the overwhelmness and not being organized, because not everything comes your way in LA. Things come at you at random things, and you're supposed to just deal with it while there's like heavy traffic, it's sunny, it's hot, there's so many factors that make you overwhelming. And just the anxiety, because I know if I'm not clean, I'm not organized, my anxiety gets higher. Got it. And I never want to get to the point where I have a panic attack, because I've only had 2 in my entire life, and they're the worst experiences in my life. And, there's, probably people listening that either don't know anxiety or, do know what it is. But, anxiety kind of just feels like the whole world is collapsing, on you. Your heart racing, and honestly feels like you're about to have a heart attack and just die. And it's the most terrifying thing, because it comes out of nowhere. Sometimes it keeps me up at night. Sometimes, it's a serious thing. I'm very open about it and willing to talk about it to anybody listening. It's it's something that you have to find something therapeutic to kind of block it out.
Well, luckily my followers know that I suffer from anxiety and depression. So we've talked about it on the show before.
Oh, that's good.
Because I suffer from panic attacks, and my randomness is I'm ready. I live in Laguna Beach, and if I have to come up to LA for some reason, I have to plan to leave an hour ahead of time just for traffic and anything else that might happen. But then I have to add to that another 20 minutes for me to just get out of the house, because I will find reasons to not, I need to wash this, or I need to change that, or this is not in the right place, and I will move things around the house, or I will all of a sudden want to clean the refrigerator or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't need, and I have to literally talk myself out of it. Like, you don't need to clean this right now. And I've even resorted to friends that I kind of like, hey, 911, call me, and they'll be on the phone with me. until I'm in my car. And then I'm like, okay, I'm in my car now. I can go now. But usually by then I'm just soaking wet from anxiety.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get it. And then, of course, for people who have not been to LA, you can Google or MapQuest, and it says 25 minutes, but by the time you get on the freeway, there's an accident or a closure, and that's another 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah, guys. I mean, we don't go by miles. We go by time.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing.
Yeah. How far is that? Oh, it's about an hour away. Oh, we're not going.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, not to pull out a funny moment out of a terrifying,
Please do, yeah.
comment, but you said clean the fridge. I cleaned my fridge this morning because I saw my anxiety got high because I saw how dirty the fridge was. I literally cleaned it before I got here.
So there you go, folks.
I was like, why is there leftover pizza? Wait, these grapes have mold on them. Like, I don't know. Why does no one clean this? Why am I the only one? And by all means, I like to clean. It's crazy, when I've had, female friends or dates come over to my place, keeping the PG-13, but they get shocked by how clean my bedroom and my apartment and my kitchen
well, anytime you want to come to my place and spend the weekend, I'll leave you alone to it and you can clean.
I'm just impressed by this.
Oh, yeah, my boyfriend keeps his place very neat.
Oh, my God.
So for those of you watching on YouTube, you're looking at Christian's place. Although they've seen it. I've taped here a lot. I'm a tchotchkes guy. I have a lot of little gadgets everywhere. Yeah. My bedroom is my office. So it's overloaded with papers and office stuff and yeah.
You telling me that? My anxiety.
Yeah. You would not be happy at my place. People come to my place and they're like, I'm like, that's the office space. Don't look over there. We're good.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the part of my show where we throw out some words to wisdom to the listeners.
Yeah, of course.
So, Thomas Soliz, what words of wisdom would you like to share?
I actually wanted to tell you guys something that my acting teacher told me in college. He was my acting professor, and his name was Mr. Johnson. And he was a old, crazy, weird guy. Like, one time he caught me chewing gum, and he says, Thomas, spit it out. And I went up to go spit it in the trash. And he goes, no, just throw it at me. Like, just literally pull out the piece of gum and throw it at him. And I was like, no, it's not necessary. I'll just spit in the trash. And he goes, Thomas, I do not have time to throw me your spitted gum. Throw me your gum. And I'm like, okay. So he caught it and he put it in his pocket. But the thing is, he is a genius when it comes to dramatic arts. I've learned so much about drama, acting, theater that I'm so glad. And he told me these words of wisdom, and it was near the end of the semester, the last time I ever saw him, and it always has stuck to me, and it has become my words of wisdom. And for everyone who's listening, destination is not. Excuse me. Oh my God, I'm messing up.
Yeah.
People are listening. Like, what is it?
Not very wise, is he?
No.
Stay pretty, Thomas. Stay pretty.
Stay pretty. Anyways, it's happiness is not a destination; it's a journey.
Yeah.
And that hits me so hard because for everyone listening in, that to find your happiness, don't worry about the end goal. Have fun while you're trying to get there, because that's really what's going to make the memories that stick the most. Like when I'll be talking about my life maybe 12 years down the line. Hopefully, I'm a successful actor. And I'm able to, say, like, I did it. But I'm not going to be filled. I'm going to be happy about the journey I went through, the people that I met, the social media job I work now. This is, I've never been so happy in my life. And that's why I'm so happy all the time. People think I'm, like, mentally crazy. But, yeah.
That was my first opinion, but now.
Yeah. So, and just knowing, everything about, social media with my current job and... for people that don't know, I work for a company called TSMA Consulting. So it's a social media consulting firm. And, I'm so happy to be a part of this now, the Pokey Place. And, yeah, guys, like I said, happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. End quote.
All right, so we're coming down to the last, 10 minutes of the show. What has been the biggest myth that has been busted for you in LA? Like, you came to LA, and what was the thing that you're like, okay, this is not the way I thought?
Say it.
Yeah.
Man, that is a good question. Man, I think something that wasn't true. You know, I think I've heard that you'll find nice people in LA. No. I mean, I think, like, about... And this isn't a bad rep to people that live in LA, or a bad rep for, you know, people that think they're nice. This is just how I've seen it. I've met people in Los Angeles, and people say, like, we're not that bad. It's like, I'm a little bit, like, you know, wowed. Like, there's people that are, you know, gluten free. There's people that you know, that they're just so rude about it, and it blows my mind. It's like, no, just say that you have a gluten allergy. You don't have to be mean about it. And I think that was the biggest myth that definitely got busted in my head, is that, you know, when I came here, people were like, oh yeah, LA people, they're not that bad. Oh my God, that was completely wrong. And it all depends on who you meet out here. So I always say, you know, find the people that, you know, you feel comfortable around, that you could trust, and, you know, just, you know, be around people that make you a better person.
Yeah. What does success look like to you?
What does success look like to me? I think, because, you know, I'm my own worst critic, for me it's to be financially stable in Los Angeles and to start getting acting roles. I think the moment where I would think that I did it, that I made it in entertainment, is either being on a talk show host. Like, don't be wrong, you're great. I love this.
Wait a minute.
Like, no,
this show will never air, ever.
No, not my intentions at all. And I think just to be able to be a part of a blockbuster movie, I think it would be the pinnacle. Even if it's a small role, it's like this small vision that I had as a kid is now a reality. Something that I've wanted for years in my life, that I've been prepping for my entire life. I made it there. I made it. That's success to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you that I've been doing this podcast for 6 years, over 200 episodes, and I have met some of the most amazing people, heard some of the most incredible stories that not only inspired me, but motivated me to keep going through my cancer, through my illnesses. Remembering the people that I've talked to keeps me wanting to go, and it only motivates me to want to meet more people, which is why you're here. It's like, I want to know the story. I want to know how Thomas Soliz got to LA and what motivated him to do it. So there's room for everybody in show business, but I welcome everybody to have their own moment to be able to interview people, because you learn some really cool stories. You don't know what's behind the curtain until you talk to people, and it's just mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. So as long as we're not on competing networks against each other in the same time slot, we're good. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll bring you down, Tom. I will bring you down.
You got the footage now.
Yes. I will bring you down, Soliz. You don't know me. And I guess my last question, because we talked a little bit, you talked about happiness in your words of wisdom. What makes Thomas Soliz happy?
What makes me happy is knowing that I'm able to make other people happy, and I'm able to make a difference in the world. So that means even if it's the smallest thing, that would be kind of like what happiness is to me. So, if potentially my goal is that, once I get a big enough name and people know who I am, globally, that I want to do charities, I want to do, events, I want something to kind of give back to the community and make this place just a little bit better. Because during these times, especially the last few years, there's been so much hate, so much violence, and it sickens me, because I'm this is not how we're supposed to be. Right. Everyone has good in them, even for the worst people out there. And I'm not giving them credit. I'm just saying there's always that child you can bring it back out from them. And so for me, like, just helping and, you know, doing small things, doing big things, just anything in general, just that's what makes me happy. So that's why I love so much about my current job, is because, you know, I'm able to help people with their social media. People that had no idea what they were doing. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And to be able to, like, teach them and let them have fun with what I'm teaching them, and for them to, like, progress in their life, that's great to me. That makes me feel like, okay, who can I help next?
Yeah. And we're not going to get too much into your job, but I will back that up and saying I've been to a couple of workshops. Mm-hmm. I've taken some of the advice, and it definitely makes a difference. So if you've been listening to this whole podcast, I will post a link on my page so that you guys can go and find out for yourself. But I highly, highly recommend it. And I'll leave it at that. You guys have to do the rest of the work on your own. Because I did. I had to go to 2 workshops to get everything I needed. So you guys need to go do it for yourself. Last question. If you talked in the very beginning how supportive your parents were of all your decisions and what you want to do with your life, what message would you send? If you were writing a thank you letter to your parents, what would it say?
Oh, man, you're going to make me emotional now. Well, you know, if I had to say something to, you know, my parents, who've not only been so supportive in my life, but has, you know, taught me what it is to be a gentleman, to, you know, love one another, to care for your neighbor, it's, you know, thank you. I mean, I'm so thankful for, you know, my parents that I have, and, you know, for them helping me in the worst times and helping me in the best times. And, you know, I'm a man that returns the favor, so I always want to, you know, help my family back in the long run, and, you know, just to always, you know, God, how do I want to say? I want to say thank you for always believing in me, even during the worst times. Because, you know, when your kid is saying, I want to be an actor, I mean, my dad told me, he said that was the craziest thing he's ever heard. He goes, okay, well, you do it. You know, you prove it. Prove it to me, and you know, I know you will do it. And I proved it to my dad that I have the huevos to do it.
There you go.
So, you know, thank you, Mom and Dad. If you're listening in, if you see this video, thank you. Thank you so much for making my dreams come true. And, you know, I can't wait for you guys to see me when, you know, the big things happen, and I get to, you know, tell everybody of how much my parents has helped me.
That's awesome. And you just made me think of one more question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Of course, we have a couple more minutes, people. Shut up. And this is my show, so get over it. For parents out there, because Hollywood is a dream for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And just to put it out there to everybody listening or watching, Hollywood is not just actors. There's directors, there's producers, there's wardrobe people, there's makeup people, casting agents. A movie or a show is not just the actors. There's the writers. There's all these people that make it happen. What would you say to a parent that doesn't want their child to get into show business, whatever it is in show business?
So I think what I would tell them is, you know, you never know what they're going to grow up to be. We don't. I mean, for anyone that does have kids out there that, you know, or are expecting to have kids, we don't know what they're going to be when they grow up. Now, if we tell them no all the time, they're never going to really challenge themselves. They're not going to take risks, and it sounds terrifying for them to take risks, but you got to. I mean, that's life. When they get out there, life is going to, you know, knock them down numerous times and beat them to the core. But you got to let them get that motivation, that strength to let them get back up again and can keep going for what they want. I would say just, you know, whatever your child wants to be, let them be it. I mean, even if it's something you don't agree with. I mean, my dad wanted me to be a guitarist. Granted, I play guitar, but I'm not in a band. I don't have any purpose in being in a band. But, you know, but it was hard for him to, you know, see me as an actor. But now he sees it as just my job. He's like, okay, my son's an actor, and he's doing what he loves to do, and that's what makes him happy. And, you know, for people that that are having kids, they're expecting to have kids or do have kids, like, you'll enjoy that moment too. I'm not a father myself, but I can't wait till the day I have a kid and I have a family and they grow up and they say what they want to be. I can't wait till they become that. That would be probably the most happiest time of my life. And there's so many in life, I mean, you just got to enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you. And finally, just tell folks where they can find you or how they can become a Thomas Soliz follower or fan.
Well, guys, if you want to see just like how adventurous, crazy, and I guess interesting, if it is interesting, I don't know. You tell me. So I'm on Instagram. The handle is at Tom Soliz, TOMSOLIZ. Give me a follow. I love following people back. Get to really see of how I use my social media job to help my page, how to promote myself, how to say that this is Tom Soliz, this is how I promote myself, this is how I sell myself, this is how I make a living in especially big cities. You can also find me on Facebook, Thomas Soliz, and give my job website a follow. It's TSMA Consulting, and you kind of get to see of all the people we do get to help, and hopefully, I get to get a direct message from you guys who are like, hey, just wanted to say hi, I saw your podcast. I would love to say hi back to you guys, and thank you for listening. Thank you so much.
And don't get confused when you see the picture, because you had long hair for a little while.
Yes,
I had to bring up the hair. I'm glad you cut the hair.
Oh, see, that's been about 95% of the response. That's totally fine. I had a manager who made me keep it that long, and I'm glad I cut it. I've had that long hair since I was like in 5th grade.
Really?
Yeah, I've never cut it. I've trimmed it, but I've never like cut my hair, like take inches off. But no, that's what about even the girls say. They're like, so glad you cut the hair because you looked horrible.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you look awesome, man. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you taking time this morning to come over and share your story. I'm sure that somebody out there is somewhere in Iowa listening and going, hey, I want to move to LA. And if Thomas can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And, it's an honor to meet you in person. I mean, get to talk to you and hear your story. I'm really inspired. You're so put together. You are a perfect example of a put together story, and I've learned some stuff from you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show, able to tell you guys my journey. Thank you for actually making the initiative at the presentation to hand out your card, and to finally talk to you and meet you in person. Also, be able to be on your show and talk to everyone that's following and listening. It's awesome. I love it. And thank you for my very first podcast.
Yes. For those of you listening, it's his first podcast. I popped another podcast cherry. Oddly enough, I've had a lot of folks that never wanted to do an interview or never got on a show, and I was like, well, just come on, just come and talk. And if you don't like it, we don't have to post it. Yeah. And then at the end, they're like, it's been an hour already. I'm like, yep, shut up and go home. So for everybody listening, we've been speaking to actor Thomas Soliz. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook. Go on to the Facebook page of Put It Together Podcast, and you'll find all the links and information on him. You can find pictures of him before and after the haircut. And maybe you can vote on that and see which one you like the best. I want to thank again my producer, Mr. Kevin Moyers, for all his help and support. Thank you, sir. Which I will be in Phoenix. For those of you listening, I'll be in Phoenix for the comic book convention. So we'll see you guys there. I'll be posting that on my Facebook page to let you guys know. So I'll be in Phoenix for a couple of days. Thank you again for listening. Check us out at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We can find all the videos that go with the recordings, so you can see what my guests look like. Thank you, Thomas, for being on the show. For everybody listening, this is Daniel Garza saying, hey, put it together.
And winter, where we were at.
3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, this is Daniel Garza, and welcome to another episode of Put It Together. I'd like to start, as usual, thanking my producer, Mr. Kevin Moyers, for all his help and support. Thank you, sir. Inviting all of y'all to check us out at abnormalentertainment.com, where you can find all the shows on the network. Please visit us at, I don't know what language that was. Please visit us at Put It Together Podcast on Facebook, where you can find shows, all the recordings. You can find pictures and updates on all of my guests. So go check that out. And of course, you can find us on all the social sites, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, where you can find, if you're listening to this, you can find the actual videos on YouTube and go see what my guests look like. Today, I'm pretty excited. I have Thomas Soliz. I was going to say it the English way, but that just sounds wrong to me. Do people usually say Soliz or?
Some people do say Soliz. That is technically the gringo way of saying it, but no, it's pronounced Thomas Soliz. So yeah, that's how it goes.
Now I saw Thomas on a panel at a workshop that I went to, and I guess the joke on the panel was that you're like the Superman, because you look like Superman. So if you're listening to this on audio, you're gonna want to go and check out the video and check out his profile.
Oh my god!
You do look like a younger version of somewhere between, what was his name? Tom something, the TV Superman, the young Superman.
Clark Kent.
Yeah, but he the one that was on the Smallville.
Oh, I know who you're
Tom,
talking about.
I forget his last name, but like you could be like the younger version of that, like before he got old and fatter and mean.
Oh my god, I get it so much. It's crazy, especially where I wear my glasses around the office. Like even like security comes up and tells me, it's like, hey, people walking by, they're asking like who you are. Like they're like, wait, is that guy from the Superman movie? And I'm like, no, I'm just bad vision.
He's like, yes, I am,
right.
But I don't give autographs.
Right.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you for having me on the podcast. This is actually my very first podcast.
Really?
Yep, very first one. So I'm glad that you were able to reach out to me and be able to set this up. So
excellent.
I'm super excited.
Well, thank you. I tend to have a lot of podcast versions on my show. I seem to find the virgins and bring them over to my lair.
Hey. Popping my cherry, what can I say?
Yes! Another one bites the dust, folks. Another one. Well, let's get started. My typical question for my guests, my first question is how you put it together. Tell us about your story.
Yeah, of course. So I'm actually from Illinois. I'm from the Midwest.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was born in Kelowna, the Quad Cities of Illinois. So if you guys don't know where that is, so if you imagine Chicago, I'm just like east of there. So it's like right on the border of like Iowa, Illinois. And I lived in a trailer park. I come from a very non-wealthy family. And so my mom got a promotion and we kind of just moved to Iowa. And that's where I was raised for the majority of my life.
Okay.
So I'm from Des Moines, which is the capital of Iowa and also the center of the country. So it's kind of crazy. I tell people out here that I'm from Iowa. And they're like, so you're from Idaho? The place with potatoes? Or no, you're from Ohio? I'm like, no, Iowa.
There is a state, folks, named Iowa.
Yeah, it's like, no, this isn't a different country. Like, we're in America. And yeah, no, I've lived there for the majority of my life. And, it was kind of just crazy of how I was raised. I had a loving brother. I was the youngest. So my brother's about 4 years older than me, and I have a loving mother, a loving father. My dad's like straight up thug though.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's kind of crazy because I'm such a nice guy, and they see my dad and they're like, whoa, like that's pretty intimidating because he's like all tatted up. He looks like a straight up like Chino, like, you know what I mean? So that right? He's like, and I became learning pretty good at Spanish when all I hear is the cuss words in Spanish, like. Chingada, pendejo, like, come on. I'm like, okay, sorry, Dad.
Now, do you know Spanish?
You know what? I know it's, like, partially. I'm really good at understanding it, but for me to speak it, I'm still working on it. I've studied 4 years in high school and 2 years in college. And so I've gotten good at it, but, with, partying in LA and, all that, it kind of goes down, but it kind of just naturally comes back, especially when I'm speaking to people in Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
We'll have to do a little Spanish at the end before we.
Ooh,
yeah.
A real test.
Yeah. Because although your last name Soliz, I was like, this is a white boy. Like this, I don't know where he got the Soliz from, but it's a white boy. I forgot where I was going because I made a joke.
Oh,
so you were talking about your upbringing. So you're in Idaho, and
Idaho.
I mean,
see, it already happened.
and that
Iowa.
Yeah. My God. What do you like? What's your childhood like? What kind of kid were you?
You know what? I was like a really troublemaker as a kid,
Really?
so I took risks. It was like, it wasn't like dangerous risk. I was always like challenging myself. And so it's kind of crazy of how even I fell into love with acting as a young kid. I think I was probably like maybe 7 or 8, and I was in like second or third grade. And do you know the movie Mission Impossible 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that movie just came out. Like, that was the big, like, blockbuster movie that came out, and it finally went out for, be able to rent as a DVD. DVD, not Blu-ray, but DVD. And so, me and my family, just to, make sure that we, always do family things together, we have, like, our version of Sunday Fun Day.
Okay.
It's called just Sunday Family Day. And so usually we go to our local like Family Video or Blockbuster when those still existed.
Wow.
And we would rent movies, we would rent video games because I was a huge gamer as a kid. And they rented Mission Impossible 2 and I had no idea what it was. And so I watched it and I remember it so well because it hit me so hard as a child. I was so fascinated of how this movie worked. I was fascinated how, like, I wanted to be Tom Cruise in that moment. I wanted to be that tall, physique, good-looking guy, long, slick hair, that gets the battle of villain and fire and explosion and, walk away with the girl at the end. I thought that was so cool that I was like, how do I get to be a part of something this great? I want to know how the movie magic works. So, that's when I really knew I wanted to be an actor. So it's always been a vision of mine since I was a kid. Now, the whole point was the journey of how to get there.
Okay.
So, I told my parents as a kid, I want to be an actor. And so with my parents being so supportive, they were like, yeah, of course, you get to be whatever you want to be. My dad wanted me to be a guitarist for a band because my dad's actually a guitarist for a band right now.
Oh.
And he was in bands in the past. He was like, Carlos Santana?
Yes.
So he's in a tribute band right now for Carlos Santana.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So he could shred that guitar. And, he also taught me how to play guitar as a young kid. So he taught me, the techniques and everything. So every time I see my dad, we always like jam out.
That is such a cool bond.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's like our way of bonding and also sports because we're huge Chicago Bears fans.
Got it. Are they still out in
Iowa?
Yeah.
No. So about 2 years ago, my family moved to Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Near Albuquerque.
Okay.
So they're currently just, living there. My dad's retired, and my mom's still working for the Postal Service. She's been in the Postal Service since she was, like, in her 20s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's like a hardcore veteran.
Wow. So not only do they show you art, they show you longevity, loyalty. Mm-hmm. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's exactly to the T. And, just how to be a gentleman, have good morals, help people out. And, they just wanted to make sure that their kids wanted to be raised the way that their parents wanted them to be raised and not to go down the wrong path. So, I was going to like auditions. I was doing commercials as a young kid all the way through a teen. So I was doing like MediaCom.
But this is back home, not here yet.
Yeah, that was back in Iowa. Yeah, and then, when I got to about, middle school, I was still doing these, crazy acting things, which it was, like, so cool for me, because it's like they have free food, they have a chair you can sit in that kind of looks like a director's chair. Yeah. So that was awesome, and you know what? It was really hard to even fit in, like... I think middle school is always hard for everybody because you're trying to figure out where you fit into school politics. So, I was just becoming friends with everybody. So, when we made the transition to high school, I was friends with the jocks, the preps, the stoners, the partiers, the nerds. Like, I was friends with everybody because I'm just such a, kind of like relaxed kind of guy.
But who are you?
Me? See, that was the hard part. See, even though I was friends with all those people, they weren't my close friends. The close friends I had were people that not only did I trust in, but people that like I would consider them as my brother. And so if I had to fit myself into a category, I would say like maybe the outcast, slightly in a way.
Really?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever even really figured out where I fit in high school. And then, of course, when we got to the senior year of high school, that's when everyone starts to become best friends. Like, there's no more drama, there's no more, because they're like, we're all going to part ways, we're never going to see each other again, so might as well make it amends. But, I don't think I talked about my brother. My brother's name is David Soliz.
David Soliz?
Yes, he's actually engaged and is getting married next year in October.
Well, congratulations, David.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm super excited. I love my new upcoming sister-in-law. She's amazing. Her name's Steph. And, no matter how busy or crazy I get in just like LA or, in entertainment, he still allows me to, make sure to be myself. Because I think, I was definitely a hardcore gamer. So maybe I was in that group in high school. I was definitely a gamer. And my brother, taught me how to play games at such a young age that, that was kind of our way of bonding. It's still our way of bonding now.
Does he keep you grounded?
Yes. Yep. He's still trying to, it helps me to remember like where I came from, what was my journey, and still to be that person with good morals.
Yeah.
Because that's important to me, because I don't want to be that guy who suddenly makes it big and just has a
big head.
Yeah, big head.
Because people don't realize that in LA, especially as actors, it's very easy at whatever level you are. You could be A-lister or Z-lister, but as you do that first big job, and it does go to your head a little bit. So it's easy to get out of reality, per se, right? Mm-hmm. And you need your family or your close friends to go, you still got to take out the trash.
Yeah. Yeah, usually he calls me, he's like, he goes like, he goes, don't be stupid, man. Like, he always tells me that, don't be stupid. And so, even today we play Xbox Live together, and that's just our way of bonding and just catching up and talking it out, because, he has a busy life, I have a busy life. Right. Everyone, he still lives in Iowa, so he's still like, a distance away, and I don't get to see my family as much, so I always try to like call them every day, try to stay in touch. But going back to like, how did I get to LA? I actually went to community college after high school, because I originally wanted to go to University of Iowa, which is home of the Hawkeyes. Go Hawkeyes. You see that logo? Okay,
I saw it, yeah.
And so I was good in school. I was great in high school. I was a little bit of a troublemaker. Luckily, my family was able to steer me onto the right path, because I was like skipping school. I was, smoking cigarettes. I was drinking.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, that was just, I just wanted adventure. I wanted, something to challenge me, and I guess that was my way of challenging, because I was like, ooh, I'm going to a party, and I'm only in high school. I'm underage. How dangerous! How rebellious!
Got it.
So I was like doing that a lot, and me and my dad had a long talk, and he really shook me to my core and really got me back on the right path, because I honestly could have kept going on that path. Yeah. I could have been somewhere totally else.
Now, just because I've been clean and sober now 11 years,
mm-hmm.
So when I do presentations at schools, I try to tell them about, you're going to experiment, obviously, most kids do. It's whether you stay there or not.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get too much into it, but what was the first motivator to be adventurous?
I think is just like social acceptance, because it's like, everyone was, like the cool kids, the preps, the jocks, whatever you want to call them, you know, they're the ones who pretty much make the first initiation or have the awesome parties that, you know, it's peer pressuring a little bit. In the long run, it's, you know, people come to me and say, oh, hey, Ben or Sarah or Jacob are having this you know, party, and there's going to be alcohol. It's like, hey, and you know, your testosterone, you're a young stallion, you want to experiment new stuff, and I think that just like, you know, what does it feel like? What does it look like? Just like having that sense. So I think that's just honestly kind of like the, you know, modifier that really push you in that direction. And so
peer pressure can be tough at any age, really. Yeah. Because again, going back to LA, I've been invited to parties where obviously there's drugs and alcohol, and I don't do either, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I'd usually just carry a little cup all night long that I don't even drink out of, but just no, I have a drink already. I'm good. Thank you. But I talk a lot about self-imposed peer pressure, where sometimes it's just there, but you want to fit in. Nobody's telling you to do it, but you're like, I want to fit in so much that I'll do it to fit in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, of course. And, you know, to anybody who is still in high school listening to this, I mean, by all means, like, I'm not saying go out and experiment. I'm just saying, like, just know your boundaries, know the risk that you're taking before you do it. Like, think about the long run. That's how I always say.
Exactly.
So, because I don't want, you know, a kid to like be like, I'm now gonna go and drink so much booze now, and like, no, we don't want that.
Daniel and Tom said that I need to go. No.
It's like the new lion mascot in Dare. Like Tom says, no to alcohol.
We'll have to make a clip out of that one,
right?
So you're in community college, and you're still not considering moving to LA, or it's already in your head?
So I was going to do the whole like get my master's and then move to LA. I knew that was always going to be the goal for me, was to get out to LA. And so, you know, I was working jobs since I was 14, saving up money for years because I knew LA was going to be expensive because I do my research. I'm not just going to move out somewhere and just be like, oh, whoa, this was not what I expected, and just move back, and then that's just a waste of time. So, I went through community college. I went to DMAC, which is Des Moines Area Community College in Ankeny. Great campus. I loved the school, and it was just kind of like a cheaper version before I went to the university. And so, I called University of Iowa, their admissions, and I was like, hey, so what do I need to do, because I want to spend 2 years at DMAC. What do you need from me to make that transfer for, fall semester? And they're like, well, just get your AA and you're accepted, just like that. So I'm like, okay. So I took summer school because I was very eager to get there.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was majoring in criminal justice. So
I can see that.
Yeah. So I originally, that was my backup plan. I was like, well, if acting doesn't come out, I want to be in like SWAT. I want to be a detective. But then it wasn't starting to make sense to me in college, thinking about it, because I'm such a nice guy that if I pull somebody over and they're like, there's a crying kid in the back, I'm like, oh God, just go. I can't deal with this. Or like, pull somebody over with like marijuana. It's like, you know what? I smoked in high school. Like, just get out of here. Like, I would get fired so fast. So, yeah, I mean, it just wasn't making sense. And I kind of was drifting away from acting at that point because, you're growing up, you're having a little realization of, life. And at that time, I was working as a direct support professional for mentally handicapped and troubled youth. So I was, MedPass certified. I was allowed to give out medication to, clients in a government-based home. I was allowed to, I was CPR trained, first aid trained. I had all these licenses in Iowa that the company paid for. By the way, I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to help people in a matter, so I went to these homes and I took care of these clients, and it always felt great because you just teach them like independent living skills. So like how to cook for yourself, how to do laundry, how to, just live life.
Right.
A little bit. And so when I see them doing it, that always like made my heart just a little bit warmer because I'm like, okay, cool. They're going to learn this for the rest of their lives, and I'm glad I was able to teach them something. And I got something in the mail after I got done with the shift, and I was still in summer school, and it was Barbizon's Passport to Discovery. Sounded just like a scam. And,
Right.
and I'm not saying anything bad about Barbizon, but I'm saying that like, give us a lot of money, we'll put you on a cruise. And this was like one of those Carnival cruises.
Okay.
And it's like 100 agencies across the world. So agencies from Texas, Los Angeles, New York, Milan, everywhere. Everywhere you can imagine. Like some big name agencies were there. And that was also like a little pinnacle moment of my life. I was like, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to try out for this Carnival Passport to Discovery cruise. If I get it, after I'm done with my 2 years, I get my AA, I'll just move to Los Angeles at the age of 20. If I do not get in, I will do the other 2 years, get my master's, and then move to LA. Or figure out what to do with my life at that point. So this was kind of like, a little bit of ultimatum I gave myself.
Wow.
Yes, so I went and auditioned for, the state of Iowa because they grab people from every state and put them on this cruise, but only like a selected amount get to go. So I got there, and of course it's a bunch of younger people my age. I think I was like 19 at that time, and I auditioned for it, and I actually got first place in the state of Iowa.
Wow.
Yeah, we had to do a walk and a commercial audition. And my improv, I used Ron Burgundy's Dodge Durango from Anchorman. Yeah, so I mimicked the voice like perfectly. I like pretended I was like showing the Durango in their glove compartment. I was talking about their glove compartments in the car. So that was funny, and me, kind of thinking like I didn't get it. And that's one thing I should also say is like never self-doubt yourself. Because I got a call the next day. It's like, hey, Thomas, did you check to see if you got a call back? And I said, no. It's like, I didn't think I won. Like, you got first place. And
wow.
I was like, what? I got first place? I was shocked because I saw so many good performances. And I'm like, okay. They're like, well, did you want to go on this cruise? Yeah, here's $1,000. And yeah, so you pretty much paid to get on this cruise. But I was like, why not? I had the money. I wanted to take a risk.
Right.
So I went on the cruise, and there is about 1,500 contestants.
Jesus.
It was the year 2014, and
that's recent.
Yeah.
That's really recent.
Yeah. So it's like only about 4 years.
4 years ago, yeah.
And I got on the cruise. It was like a 5-day cruise, and I was in about 7 competitions. So I was in, I think it was just a runway walk, swimwear, commercial, improv, monologue, and like some other ones. I honestly can't remember.
Right.
And so, I was in Division 11, which is the very last division. It's the oldest people on the cruise.
Wow.
So
you were the oldest people on the cruise.
And
I had insane.
Right, and my last name was Soliz. So I was near the end of 1,500 people auditioning, and so I literally would wait in line for hours just to perform. And trust me, that was a great mental I was able to test my mental strength out of that. And after the 5 days over, the 6th day we're getting our callback sheets. Now this is if you actually impress people. And so I checked my callback sheets, and I had 22 agency callbacks. So 22 agencies from around the world want to meet.
This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together. This is how I put it together.
Subscribe to Put It Together on iTunes, Stitcher, and at abnormalentertainment.com/putittogether. Find Put It Together on Facebook and tweet Daniel at Lil Messican, LILMESICAN. And for more podcasts, comics, books, movies, and more, head to abnormalentertainment.com.
You've been listening to the Abnormal Entertainment Network.